honored guest, Orson, and ladies and gentlemen. It must be quite a surprise to see me here because Orson and I hardly know each other. We've never worked together, and I haven't even been married to him. I think the real reason why I'm here must be that I work across the street. So it's easy to run over after the show. It is also easy to come when I was asked if I would appear for a tribute to Orson Welles. I think that it must have been a great burden for him to have made a masterpiece when he was 24 years old. And it must have been very hard to live up to under all those years. And also, I've been working in Europe when Orson Welles was working in Europe. And we had hardships, both of us. Maybe that's another sign why I'm here. I knew how he was working, and you saw pictures produced by Orson, directed by Orson, written by Orson, narration by Orson, acted by Orson, and closed by Orson. He had done everything. Still, he had his troubles, and the joke started in Europe saying that Orson Welles is running out of countries. Now he has come back to his own country, and in great style, and here we are. And I'm so happy that the American Film Institute has asked me to come, so I also can pay my tribute to you, and thank you that you have shown the world what real courage is, and tenacity, and of course, your dazzling talent. So therefore, I say bravo, Orson, and hit us again with your talent.
Hello folks, it's me again, Movie Man Gary. Today I wanted to pay tribute to a visionary filmmaker whose name is synonymous with innovation and creativity in the world of cinema. In fact, if you've ever been interested in film history like I've been pretty much all my life, this is a name that you'll definitely be familiar with no matter your age. So join me as I explore the extraordinary life and incredible contributions of Orson Welles to the world of film and its history.
What kind of a spy do you think you are, Satchelfoot? What are you tailing me for? Cat got your tongue? Come on out. Come out, whoever you are. Step out in the light and let's have a look at you. Who's your boss?
Ja, zum Teufel nochmal, was ist denn da los? Sagen Sie, was fällt denn Ihnen überhaupt ein? Sind Sie deppert? Ja, Sie meine ich, schauen Sie nicht so blöd. Eine Frechheit ist das, mitten in der Nacht so einen Krawall zu machen.
Orson Welles was a prodigy of the stage and screen, whose talent knew no bounds. He was born in 1915 in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Welles began his career in theater before making his mark in radio with his infamous War of the Worlds broadcast. Now, if you don't know anything about that event, it'll seem outrageous to you. It was a radio broadcast before the days of television that literally scared half the world. It was this groundbreaking moment that caught the attention of Hollywood and paved the way for his transition to filmmaking.
Were you aware of terror at the time you were giving this role? Were you aware that terror was going on throughout the nation?
Oh, no, of course not. You know, we did Dracula, and it seemed to me during Dracula I had high hopes that people would react as they do in a movie of that kind, and I don't know that they did, particularly, and so I'd given up. One doesn't believe in the radio audience much. You don't know that whether they're listening or not. You have no idea how many people are listening or what they're thinking. I had every hope that the people would be excited as they would be at a melodrama.
If you think this is an exaggeration, it's only a little while ago that I again ran into some workers, some welfare workers, Quakers and Red Cross people who had been up in the Black Hills of Dakota some 5 or 6 weeks after this broadcast, persuading the people to leave the mountains and go back home because the Martians really hadn't come. All kinds of people reacted in all kinds of ways. For example, John Barrymore, the very famous American actor, this I know to be true, was listening to the broadcast, and although he was a friend of mine, ceased to identify me with the show and believed implicitly that America had fallen to the Martians, and hearing this on his radio, rushed out into his backyard where he kept 10 Great Danes in a kennels and released the dogs, giving them their freedom, crying to them as they ran in all directions of the compass, "The world has fallen, fend for yourselves." And I still meet people all over the place, everywhere in the world, who've had experiences, bitter or otherwise, as a result of our little experiment in broadcasting.
Now, if you ask most people what Orson Welles was most famous for, they might say it was his War of the Worlds radio broadcast. But if you ask a film nerd like me, I'd tell you without hesitation, it was Citizen Kane.
Millions of Spain off Jersey coast. Is that really your idea of how to run a newspaper?
I don't know how to run a newspaper, Mr. Thatcher. I just try everything I can think of.
Charles, you know perfectly well there's not the slightest proof that this armada's off the Jersey
Hello,
coast.
Mr. Bernstein.
Excuse me, Mr.
Can you
Kane.
prove it isn't?
This just
Mr.
came
Bernstein, I'd like you to meet Mr. Thatcher.
I'll just borrow
How do you do,
the
Mr.
car.
Thatcher?
Leland, Mr. Thatcher, my ex-guardian.
From
We have
Cuba.
no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Enquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
That's fine, Mr. Kane.
Yes, I rather liked myself.
Charles,
Send it right away.
I came to see you about
Yes,
this
Mr.
campaign of
Thatcher.
yours. This Enquirer campaign against the Public Transit Company.
Mr. Thatcher, do you know anything we could use against them?
Still the college boy, aren't you?
Oh, no, Mr. Thatcher. I was expelled from college. A lot of colleges, you remember. I remember.
Charles, I think I should remind you of a fact that you seem to have forgotten.
Yes,
That
Mr.
you are
Thatcher.
yourself one of the largest individual
Mr. Thatcher.
stockholders in the Public Transit Company.
The trouble is you don't realize you're talking to two people. As Charles Foster Kane, who owns 82,364 shares of public transit preferred, you see, I do have a general idea of my holdings. I sympathize with you. Charles Foster Kane is a scoundrel. His paper should be run out of town. A committee should be formed to boycott him. You may, if you can form such a committee, put me down for a contribution of $1,000.
My time's
On the
too
other
bad.
hand, I am the publisher of the Enquirer. As such, it's my duty, and I'll let you in on a little secret. It's also my pleasure to see to it that decent, hard-working people in this community aren't robbed blind by a pack of money-mad pirates just because they haven't anybody to look after their interests. I'll let you in on another little secret, Mr. Thatcher. I think I'm the man to do it, you see. I have money and property. If I don't look after the interests of the underprivileged, maybe somebody else will. Maybe somebody without any money or property.
Yes,
And that would
money
be too
and property.
bad.
Well, I happened to see your financial statement today, Charles.
Oh, did you?
Now, tell me honestly, my boy, don't you think it's rather unwise to continue this philanthropic enterprise? This Enquirer that's costing you $1 million a year?
You're right, Mr. Thatcher. I did lose $1 million last year. I expect to lose $1 million this year. I expect to lose $1 million next year. You know, Mr. Thatcher, at the rate of $1 million a year, I'll have to close this place in 60 years.
I saw Citizen Kane on television for the first time, and I began to become aware of editing and camera positions. And what I guess happened there, of course, is that what he did, Wells, was literally, he was not afraid of being self-conscious with the camera and making self-referential remarks with the camera and literally letting the audience understand, yes, the camera is looking through the floor up into the ceiling. You know, Wells did this. And he did it with such conviction and with such brilliance that you began to realize, I see the camera moves. And I began noticing camera movement because he used that wide-angle lens a great deal. And if you use a wider-angle lens and you move quick enough, you see the walls speeding past you, you know. And this is what I think Wells brought to cinema, to American cinema particularly, because up to that time, it was the seamless film, in a way. The hidden camera, the camera that you couldn't tell was there. So Wells was the one to really open up the Pandora's box of cameras flying up in the air. In a funny way, I guess, picking up where silent films left off. The odd thing about the picture, and I've seen it countless times, you know, the enigma of it is Kane itself, Kane himself. You don't know him. You can't get to know him. He's afraid of knowing himself. He's afraid of letting anything out that might be indicative of his feelings, his emotions. And he's not passive, though. You see, he's not passive, but he's got this wall up That now, how many times I've seen the picture, I cannot get, I can't really feel for him as much as I did in the beginning. But in the beginning, when I first saw the film many times, I was feeling more for Orson Welles himself, acting in the film. I liked him personally.
When you watch Citizen Kane, you are just aware that somebody is working at the top of their game, and that every single, not just every scene, but every shot has an idea. There's a concept and an idea being executed at every second of that film. And it's sort of dazzling to just sit and watch it and count the ideas and make note of the ideas.
In 1941, at just 24 years old, Welles released his magnum opus, Citizen Kane, a film that plain and simply changed the way films would be made going forward. With its innovative narrative structure, deep focus cinematography, and layered performances, Citizen Kane not only redefined the art of filmmaking, but also sparked discussions about the role of the director as ultimate author of a film, the foundation of the auteur theory. Welles was a technical virtuoso, pushing the boundaries of filmmaking with his innovative use of lighting, camera angles, and sound. His mastery of visual storytelling was evident in films like Touch of Evil, where he experimented with long takes and unconventional editing techniques, leaving a profound mark on the cinematic landscape. Check out this opening scene of Touch of Evil, and you'll quickly understand what I'm talking about.
You folks American citizens?
I am, yes.
Where were you born, miss?
Mrs.
What?
Philadelphia.
The name is Vargas.
Hey, Jim. You see who's here? Sure, Mr. Vargas. Out on the trail of another dope ring?
Out on the trail of a chocolate soda for my wife.
Your wife?
Trail of your bride, officer.
Hey, can I get through? A lot of talk up here about how you cracked that Grandy business.
Yeah,
we hear you caught the big boss.
Only one of them. The Grandys are a big family. Good night.
No purchases, Mr. Lineker?
Hey, I got this...
You're American citizen, miss?
No, I got this ticking noise.
Yeah, okay.
No, really, this
Good
ticking
night.
noise in my head.
Mike, do you realize this is the very first time we've been together in my country?
Do you realize I haven't kissed you in over an hour? try to find out. You'd better not come any closer. We'll have to postpone that soda, I'm afraid.
Mike, couldn't I?
Susie, please be careful.
Before his foray into cinema, Wells was a celebrated figure in the world of theater. His background in stagecraft influenced his filmmaking style as seen in his ambitious productions and his ability to create immersive environments that blurred the lines between reality and illusion. To take it a step further, he's one of the few directors ever to be as dominant a figure in front of the camera as he was behind it. Believe me, it's a rare talent.
No one else followed you?
You must be brought to salvation, Franz. Confess your sins as I have. Proclaim your guilt. Only thus you can attain salvation.
You really think so, Conrad?
It will take strength. Such strength as can come only from God. Kneel by me, Franz, and together we will pray to him to give you strength. I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am not worthy to be called thy son. Say these words after me. I despair of my sins.
I despair of my sins.
O God of all goodness, how could I ever have offended thee?
Of all goodness.
Wells was no stranger to controversy and adversity throughout his career. From his marriage to Rita Hayworth, to clashes with studio executives, to struggles with funding and distribution, he faced numerous challenges that threatened to derail his creative vision. He wasn't a choir boy, that's for sure. Yet, through perseverance and determination, Wells continued to defy expectations and push the boundaries of storytelling.
It was kind of, in a wonderful way, responsible for American filmmaking emerging as an important world product, not just a commercial venture, you know. But we joined the world of cinema art because of people like Orson Welles.
As I think back on Orson Welles' remarkable legacy, I see a filmmaker who dared to challenge the status quo and revolutionize the art of cinema. His influence could still be felt in every frame of modern filmmaking, inspiring generations of directors to embrace innovation and creativity in their craft. So, to summarize, Orson Welles was more than a filmmaker. He was a pioneer, a visionary, and an artist whose contributions continue to shape the fabric of film history. When we celebrate his legacy, let's remember the lasting mark he left on the world of cinema and the enduring impact of his genius. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life and work of Orson Welles. Now, if you enjoyed this segment and want to see more classic Hollywood features that I produced like this one, like and subscribe to my channel and turn your friends onto it. I'll be glad you did, and they might be too. And remember,
Paul Masson himself said it nearly a century ago. We will sell no wine before it's time.